when you're very busy, you put off things till later. But you're really borrowing time. You're saying, the future has got to deal with this because I'm focused on this. The poor do the same thing. I'm Sendhil Mullainathan. I'm a professor of economics at Harvard. My main interests are in behavioral economics. So as economists, we almost define ourselves as a science of scarcity. And what I'm arguing is that there's a different science of scarcity, a very different way of looking at it. Now, time is finite and therefore scarce in the economic sense. So picture yourself on a very busy day, somebody says, do you want to meet? And you suddenly say, no, but if I take this meeting, I can't do this thing. So you are experiencing the psychology of scarcity and realizing something economists realize, that you do one thing, you can't do another. Now if I catch you on like a lazy Sunday afternoon and I say, do you want to do this? It doesn't feel like you're giving up anything. On both the lazy Sunday afternoon and on a very busy day, you have 16 waking hours. But in one, you feel them, and in the other, you don't. And this principle kind of applies more broadly. The poor feel the scarcity of money in a way that the rich don't. If you lose $20, you might be annoyed. It feels to you as if you could buy everything you wanted still. What scarcity, when we experience it, does is it captures our mind. So when you're just focused on meeting deadline, you can't even think about anything else. The poor are the same. When they have to make rent, they're just focused on rent. That one very primitive fact, that when we experience scarcity, it captures our mind, turns out to explain a lot. It's the reason why when you're very busy, you're more productive. And in fact, we show that the poor are more productive per dollar, that they make their single dollar go further. But it has some very negative consequences. For example, when you're very busy, you put off things till later. But you're really borrowing time. You're saying, the future has got to deal with this because I'm focused on this. The poor do the same thing. They put off things by which they borrow money. So we argue that the psychology of scarcity kind of helps you manage very well right now, but it leads to a lot of deferral and actually could make scarcity in the future worse because you're actually putting off more and more. And this is why often being busy has this two-sided feeling. You're both hyper-productive, but you often feel like you're getting buried more and more. And that combination for the poor is particularly deadly, which is sure they're very good at making a single dollar go far, but they're soon buried under a mountain of debt. So the same person, when they're poor, they're about 9 to 12 IQ points dumber. The conditions of poverty truly make you dumber, and we get rid of poverty, they immediately bounce back. It's not a permanent thing. If you don't sleep all night, obviously your mental capacity diminishes. The poor feel that, about 3/4 of that every day. So perhaps the biggest policy thing I would take away is that whenever we look at the poor and we look at, say, compromised decision-making or bad choices, whatever, we're tempted to say, oh, those people don't know better. In fact, these results suggest they probably do know better. There's nothing to do with that. It's that how well would you decide if you just pulled an all-nighter? We tend to think, what is the scarce resource of the poor? Money. So we would never have a program that charged the poor large amounts of money, but we have lots of programs that charge the poor in bandwidth. Oh, you want to apply for this service? Here's a 40-page form to fill out. We don't even think about that, but that's a very bandwidth-taxing thing. As economists, we're all obsessed with scarce resources. But one scarce resource that we've completely neglected is bandwidth. That is an unpriced resource. If I run a program, I might do every little cost-benefit, but I never do the cost-benefit of how much is this mentally taxing the population. And that type of failure is particularly problematic for the poor because that's a very regressive mistake, because the poor are short on bandwidth.